Hello my fellow humans and artists. In this short tutorial I will show you how we can modify the master material from Quixel. This is created when you first import an asset, an 3D asset from Quixel Bridge into Unreal Engine. And I will show you how we can modify it so we will be able to blend in some, in this case snow on all upward pointing surfaces here. So let's get into detail. I won't work on this original master here, I will work on a duplicate. So let's do this, we'll give it another name. Let's call this material covering in this case, and let's get into detail. So first things first. I create the material mask with vertex normal world space node, which is basically giving us the vector informations of our surfaces. So since we know that blue is pointing up, red and green are pointing in the other directions, we will mask out the blue color. This is achieved with the component mask, and we select blue only. So let's connect this here. The next thing I want to have is the control over the blend amount. So let's do it with a multiply node. We create an exposed parameter, which is called blend amount. Another thing I want to have is control over the blend sharpness. This is achieved with the power node. We connect the multiply output to the base input of the power node. We duplicate this parameter here and rename it to sharpness. Okay, this comes into the exponent value. Another thing I want to do is I want to clamp this result here between 0 and 1, because values over 1 will give us some strange results, and this is not the right way. So let's do it with a saturate node. This is a quite nice node because it will not give you a performance impact. It's, like the explanation says, free on most modern graphics hardware. So let's connect this here, and this is our mask that will handle the blending. So next step is we want to create another material inside of this material here. So we'll do this in this case with the material attribute capability. So we create make material attributes, and this here is a complete material already. So next thing is we want to blend this material here with all that stuff here, and we do it in this area here. So let's create a blend material attributes node. We connect our top material, our underneath material in this case, into A. Our top material goes into B. The mask goes into the alpha, and this result from the blend material attributes node goes back into this displacement handler here. So let's take a look what happens now. I save it up. We now need to change the parent of our material instance from this particular object here. So let's double click the material. Let's go down to the parent and let's change it to our matte covering. So this is good, looks the same, and let's turn on these blend amount and blend sharpness values here and play around with it. So it's getting black. So but this is totally fine because we have nothing connected here, so it's still like an empty material. So let's go up with the sharpness, but you already see, okay, there's something happening here. Yep, it's kind of working. So the next thing we want to do is we actually want to have some textures on it. So let's get back into our material. And I already have some other materials from Megascans imported, so let's go to surfaces. Let's take the chunky snow. We select all these maps here, drag them into our graph and connect them here. So this is our roughness, this is the normal and the displacement. I'll explain later. We'll not go into this material here, but more to this later. So albedo to base color, normal into normal, roughness into roughness. So let's have another look. I just save. And there you go. There's your snow. The next thing I want to do is, when we play around with the blend sharpness, we see ugly transition, no detail whatsoever. So I want to have the underneath material, the normal map from the underneath material, interfere with the blend from the top material. This is easily achieved. We go back into our master material, we go to this area here, and we simply multiply the vertex normal world space information with the normal from the underneath material. So let's get back and connect it here. So I save it. Let's take a look what happens with the transition. Getting detail. Much better. So let's play around a little bit and this starts to look cool. So the next thing I want to do is I want to have some control over the top material, especially the normal intensity and the UV size. So let's take a look on how to do this. We create a texture coordinate node. We create another exposed parameter. I call it cover mat size, and we multiply this node with our parameter. This result now goes into the UV slots or the inputs of our texture samples. So like this, and for the displacement as well. So, and in this step I will also add the control for the normal intensity of our top material. So this is done with a free constant node set to blue. So hold down 3 on your keyboard, click in an empty space of your graph, and there it is. Let's change this value here to full blue. And now we need to blend them together with another value which is controlling our intensity. So let's create a linear interpolate node, short lerp, just by holding L on your keyboard, clicking in an empty space, and there it is. So, and in this step I create another exposed parameter that will control our normal map intensity of the covering material. So let's name this cover normal map intensity, connect it to the alpha, and if it's 0, it's A. So this constant blue vector goes into A. If it's 1, we have our normal from here, so this goes into B. Reconnect it to normal, and let's take a look. So save it, and you see all the information is gone. This is because we are starting with 0. We are multiplying with 0 on the size. So let's go up, and yeah, the texture here is hard to see from the snow, but when we go up with the normal intensity, we blend it in, and I play around here, you see, okay, the size is controllable. So this is good. Still everything follows the mask. Yeah, exactly what we want. So the next thing I want to do is the snow should have some volume to it. Since we are using a displacement material, let's test if it's working. And you see, yeah, it is. Since we are working on a displacement material, we take advantage of this and use the displacement of the snow to generate volume. How to do this? Let's get back into the material. We did not connect the snow displacement or the displacement of our covering material to the graph, so let's do this. You see, the original displacement material goes into this handler here. I did not connect this displacement map into this make material attribute node here because I want to have, yeah, this height control here. This is all that stuff that is happening here in this displacement fade, offset and so on. So let's get back and we simply blend them here together with another lerp node. So let's create one. This goes, no, now the red channel goes into B. The red channel of our underneath material displacement goes into A. And we just connect this result into the height information here. And we connect this saturate node or the output of this mask back into this linear interpolate node here. And another thing I will show you now is we want to have extra control for the volume of the top material, because now we have blended the displacements together. So it's still working here. If I increase the displacement amount, everything is looking kind of weird in this case, but this is all fine, because one thing we will do now is we create another multiplier, because we want this top material displacement to have an individual control for its height. So we connect the red here, connect this output into B again. We create another parameter which is exposed, and we call this one cover mat volume, connect it into the A input of our multiply, and let's take a look. So yeah, this is looking a bit weird now because this displacement value is now multiplying with 0, but if we go to 1, it starts to look good again. And now what is happening, I increased the original displacement amount a little bit. Yeah, the strange shadows, I think it's due to my ray tracing from my initial lighting here, but don't mind this. So let's get back down here, and if I increase now the amount for the displacement from our top material, you see, oh, okay, it's growing. Let's exaggerate it a little bit. It's growing where we have the snow. So, and if we change now the blend amount, it's following. Same thing for the sharpness. Another thing I want to do now is, maybe you want it, but in this case I don't want it. We broke the mask with the normal map from underneath, and you see this is kind of a noisy result here with the displacement. If you don't want to have it, there's an easy way to get rid of it. We just use another mask for the displacement. So how to do this? It's going up to the mask, and this multiplier here is now our problem. So what do? We just take these nodes here, duplicate them, we reconnect our exposed parameters, and simply connect the vertex normal world space into this mask, component mask, without the multiplier. And this is the mask we will use especially for the blend of displacement. So let's connect it down here. This is our displacement blend. And let's take another look in these areas. So let's save, and you will see, okay, that's a bit better. It's not physically correct, but will do for most cases. So let's play around a bit. Yeah, looking good. Let's go down with the sharpness. It's getting smoother. You will get a smoother result in the in the blending areas. And that's basically it. Another thing to mention is, since we are using the vertex normal world space sampler, so to speak, we now can rotate this object, and you will see everything that is pointing up in world space will still get the snow, but not the other areas. So the snow is still coming from the top. So let's get this back. And last but not least, this is not only good for snow. The next thing I want to do is I want to change the actual textures from the snow. Let's say I want to have sand, so I don't go in here and change the maps here. I just do a simple thing. I convert these texture samplers via right click to parameters, so they are exposed in our material instance. So let's do this. Convert to parameter, and this is our cover color. Same thing here. Convert to parameter. Cover R for roughness. Cover normal map. And right click. Cover displacement. Let's save this up. And the thing now is, when we take a look at our material instance, we have these textures here accessible. We turn them on, and let's say I want to have sand. So simply done, just drag the maps in, and you have sand. And with this done, we now can go to other assets. Let's say we go to this granite rock assembly here. Let's scale it up a bit. And this object here has still its original material instance parent set to the default material displacement. So let's just change it to our new one. So we have everything in control here. Let's turn all on. And now we can blend all that stuff in. Let's increase this here to 1. Material size, the sharpness of the blend, and we want to have the normal. And now we have individual control for several assets. And let's say, okay, we don't want to have snow here. It's snow because in our original master we started with the snow maps. So the first time you change your parent, it still will be the snow here because they are initially set. And let's just change it to, let's say grass. So simply drag your maps in, and you have another asset which is behaving like our snow asset, and you have control over the blend, the sharpness, and so on and so on. And that's the basic logic here. And I turn this object, and everything that is pointing up will get the grass. So that's all. To recap, the only magic here is using the vertex normal world space input data node to sample our directions, masking out the vector with B in this case, that is blue, pointing up, and simply masking it. And the rest is simple logic. So let's do it like this so you can see the full graph. We did add some instructions here. One last thing we could do to save some texture samplers is we go into our texture sample nodes and we say sampler source, not from texture asset but from shared wrap. Same for this, same for this one here, and for the displacement as well. So this will save some texture samplers. The instructions, it's still okay. And that's it. So if you have some questions, just leave a comment. I'm always happy to help, and see you on the next tutorial.